So I'm Dr. Dan Engle. I'm the medical director at the Rejuvenation and Performance Institute outside of Sedona, Arizona. And I've gotten my background in medicine through psychiatry and child psychiatry and forensic psychiatry. I did my training in Texas and Denver. And then after I got out of my training, I realized that I really wanted to work with people in rejuvenation medicine. So I work with people to really recover their optimum state of performance in their bodies and their minds. Well, when you're looking at a total plan for optimum performance, you have to look at the whole spectrum. And a critical part of that, like one of the main legs of the stool, is nutrition and diet and the amount of minerals and vitamins and life force energy that people are taking into their body. Well, the Alpha Brain and the Shroom Tech Sport promote a great balance in what you're optimizing in both mind and body function. Alpha Brain allows for that peak performance clarity, concentration, focus, attention, planning, follow through. All of the stages that are necessary in creating a new plan for wellness or being able to follow through with one's optimum mental level of awareness and function. It's a necessary component. And you also have to have the body component. You have to have the reservations. You have to have the fortified strength and vitality and stamina to be able to meet life's challenges, to be able to perform those plans and executed tasks in a way that is rejuvenating and rebuilding and replenishing versus depleting and draining, which happens with a lot of people if they're just so mental focused and not supporting the body at the same time. Yeah, so when you're looking at Alpha Brain and all of the synergistic ingredients, everything is designed to exponentially optimize peak mental performance. It's got everything that you could really want in a high quality supplement. And so when you're looking at the functions of some of the core ingredients, like L-theanine helps you drop into that alpha state, which is focused, attention, clarity, without all the busyness of the mind, but the focused level of core intention and attention that's required for ongoing peak states of mental performance. Then you optimize neurotransmitters with things like tyrosine. You offer the neuroprotectant ingredients with phosphatidylserine and alpha glycerylphosphatidylcholine. Gives the neuroreceptors and the brain cells exactly the phospholipids they need in order to optimize their function. And then you add a couple of other core ingredients like huperzine and vinpocetine for optimal memory, coordination and function over time, as well as calculation ability, planning ability, all of those prefrontal cortex executive functioning, maximizing all of that because this is a recipe for ongoing peak states of mental acuity. Well, with the Shroom Tech Sport, you've got a combination of adaptogenic strengthening herbs that any one of which by themselves is going to give optimal performance enhancement. And when you bring them into an alchemy and synergize them all together, you get the exponential benefit. That's really where you get the magic. So when you're looking at, for example, the rhodiola and the cordyceps together, you're looking at a couple of different really high potent adaptogens that come from different regions of the world that give a similar but really synergistic benefit in increasing endurance, speeds of recovery, visual acuity, reaction time. And then on top of that, you give green tea, which is a potent antioxidant, increases mental clarity and function. And then B12 comes in and it really optimizes the brain neuroreceptors to utilize all of those synergistic ingredients to the maximum. So when thinking about supplements to take into one's body, it's the same thing as like anything that we take into our body. Ultimately, we have to be the best spokesperson and authority in our own wellness. Yeah, we get information and recommendations from other people, but people have to try it on to see how it feels. At these recommended doses, the risk-benefit ratio is extraordinarily in favor of a benefit versus a risk. Their core level of safe ingredients all synergistically working together in a way that the body can utilize more as food than as a synthetic substance or medication that they're taking in. So when you're looking at energy, whether it's physical energy or mental energy, the analogy is kind of the same. When you're looking at an iceberg, everybody's seen those cross sections of the iceberg with the little tip that you see above the surface and that big chunk of ice, the body of it below the surface. Energy is the same way. Most people try and chase energy on the surface by doing things like caffeine and nicotine, which gives you these peaks and valleys without supporting the reservoir of energy below the surface. That's what we're doing with Shroom Tech Sport and Alpha Brain, is really supporting it from the ground level up so that by the time you hit the surface, your ongoing peak energy is sustained. So when you're thinking about Alpha Brain and what are the things that it may help me with, like what are the real world experiences that it may be beneficial for? Well, take for example that like mid-afternoon slump that a lot of people experience, which is really just a cortisol dip, meaning that most people are stressed and not supporting their adrenals, so they turn to the coffee or to the caffeine to try and get that extra little perk. Well, it works on the surface. We were talking about that analogy between surface level energy and reserve energy. It helps with the surface, but on the other side of that peak is a larger drop off, right? So the Alpha Brain doesn't just address that peak kind of state of clarity and function. It helps both the surface and the deep reserves. It helps with that ongoing sustained awareness that doesn't have a drop off on the other side. So when you're looking at risks, benefits, some people say, yeah, I can use coffee or I can do that in the morning, but I'm not going to feel so good, a few hours down the road. And okay, at that point I may need some more coffee and then continue to dose myself throughout the day. And then, wow, by the end of the day, I'm feeling really sluggish. I don't have energy for my family. I don't have time for myself outside of work. Right? So Alpha Brain and these kinds of supplements that help boost deep levels of reserve help with ongoing sustained function without the drop off at the end, so that you have good function, for example, during your workday, and also the reserves and the joy to take care of yourself after hours in the things that you really get engaged in life.